Hi, and welcome back to Making Embarrassing Videos because I want an A. I want an A. Please give me an A. Should I say that? I don't think I should say that. Okay, so for our first lesson, we're gonna figure out what ethos is. What is ethos? Well, to understand that, we first have to find what logos, pathos, and then ethos is. And then pathos, you could say it pathos, pathos. I'm gonna be saying it as pathos for this video. Now, we learn all about the EPLs in literary and English classes as we grow up. How I learned it is that logos is something logical. It's something right or wrong. Pathos is something you feel. It's a pity. It's empathy. And then ethos is something kind of in between, something more ethical. So, the way we can view it, logos, logical. Pathos, empathy. And ethos, ethical. Now, what does this mean communications-wise? Well, ethos being somewhat in between is more about how you're perceived. It's how you look ethically. At least that's how I remember it. So it's how you're perceived. So the best example I can give is exactly what I'm doing right now. Say I were to come and sit down and make this video looking like this. If I were to approach you like this and I started using fancy words like despondent or psychosomatic or how bewildering I am, you may believe that I actually understand what I'm talking about when I'm teaching you these lessons. Whereas if I were to come at you like this, and I start telling you things like this is what it is, like this, I don't know, maybe it is, maybe it's not, I don't really know. Literally in my pajama pants, if I came at you looking like this, you might not trust me or believe what I say as an educator or teacher or tutor. You wouldn't think I'm as professional. And that's basically what ethos is. It's how someone is perceived. It's how you say, oh, that person looks nice, or oh, they seem lazy, or oh, they speak so politely. That's ethos in communications terms. So now we're going to talk about accommodation, which I think accommodation kind of plays into ethos in a way. Accommodation is kind of all about how you want to be perceived. It's all about how you speak to certain people in a certain way. Sort of like what I did before, giving you the example of changing the way I speak and changing the way I look. That's sort of what accommodations is. Say you were to go and speak with your boss. You would talk politely, you would use your pleases and thank yous, you would seem as professional as you possibly can. Whereas if you go and speak to your friends, you're using your own slang, you're using your own gestures and languages and anything you do around your friends. You're talking very naturally and you're talking as yourself. And I don't know about you, but I tried not to curse around my parents growing up. Even now, it's still not really acceptable even now. You're accommodating to people's needs. So say you go to a party and you're meeting some people and you're like, oh, hey, this person likes to talk a lot. I should listen. Oh, this person doesn't talk much. Maybe I should be friendly. Maybe I should make some small talk. And since you're at this party, you're looking nice. You're an open presence. Maybe you're a little shy because you don't want them to find out too much about you. You don't want them not to like you. So the best example I can give you for this from my personal life is my first job interview. So I went into this job interview looking nice. I was in a dress. I looked very professional. I had my resume in hand and I was ready to go. He sat me down and I sat up straight and I looked him in the eye and I just tried to seem as professional as I possibly could. and he started asking me questions about my life and my job experience and my extracurriculars and a bunch of things like that. And I spoke very clearly. I tried to seem as educated and uplifting as I possibly could. I kept a smile on my face. I kept direct eye contact. And I put a lot of thought into this, and I practiced a lot. So by the end of the interview, he asked me what my interest level was. And I don't know why I misunderstood the question, but I did, and I was like, I'm not really sure. And he was like, oh, okay, well, what can I do to convince you? And I'm like, convince me of what? And he was like, well, did you want the job? And I was like, oh, yes. I misunderstood that question. Of course I want this job. And so he's like, great, you start on Monday. We can't wait to have you on the team. And so by the time I walked out and I walked back to my car, and my mom was waiting because she was excited for me. She wanted to know how it went. And she was like, how'd it go? And I was like, yeah, I got the job. I did it. I'm so smart. So you could see the contrast. It's very different from my employer and my mother, and how I seemed when I was in my interview. And that's accommodation. Finally, we're going to talk about sarcasm, because it might not be what you think it is. So by definition, sarcasm is the use of irony to mock or display contempt. But there are a few rules when it comes to sarcasm. For one thing, sarcasm is directed at a specific person or something that is personified, like a company. The main thing about sarcasm is that its purpose is mostly to poke fun at someone who doesn't follow a societal rule or a social rule. So, say your friend goes out and she or he is dressed kind of funny. They're wearing a really funky hat with like a dress and sandals and tights. I don't know, just they're dressed really weird. And you're going out to like go shopping with some friends, and it's in this really nice shopping mall. So a sarcastic phrase might be like, whoa, someone called the fashion police, or something like that. So a personal example I can give you is one time I was at work and this older guy, like significantly older man, came up to me, and I work at the front desk at a restaurant, and I'm a hostess, and he just came over to the desk and he started like hitting on me and complimenting me and like openly flirting with me and making me really uncomfortable. And so he had said something really flirty like, ooh, your eyes are so bright, they light up my life, or something like that. And I was like, oh, whoa, careful, I don't know, if there are any cops around, you wouldn't want them to catch us. Which, you know, is kind of a sarcastic quip. And he was like, it's okay, you're worth it, baby. And I was like, oh, run me over and call me dinner. But in my head, I was really like, just run me over. Just run me over. And yeah, so when I sarcastically mentioned the cop thing, I was basically saying, like, you shouldn't be hitting on younger girls out in public like this. This is actual sexual harassment. And I was like, just run me over. Like, get this over with. Get this man out of here. So yeah, those are my lessons for the day. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you give me an A. And have a nice rest of your semester. Why did I do the kiss thing? Why did I blow a kiss? I'm literally just talking about sexual harassment. I'm sorry, this is just who I am. I need to accommodate. Okay, I'm stopping.